Did you know that Santino Marella has a daughter that wrestles in WWE? No, I'm not talking about Santina. That was Santino's sister. I'm talking about Ariana Grace. She started her wrestling career in early 2020, and a little over 2 years later, WWE signed her. She made her debut on Level Up and has made a number of appearances on NXT since then. However, in October 2022, Ariana's WWE career hit a bump when she became injured and was taken out of action. In April 2023, Grace underwent successful surgery. We'll have to see where Ariana Grace's career goes and if she'll bring the Cobra back to WWE. William Regal has 3 kids, and one of them is wrestling in WWE right now. In 2021, the real man's son was signed by WWE and made his debut on NXT UK. Regal's son used his real name, Bailey Matthews, but several months later, he'd return as Charlie Dempsey. The second generation wrestler competes on NXT now, but hasn't had any big breakout success. Maybe he should borrow the pair of brass knucks from his father. You might be surprised to hear that The Rock has a daughter who currently wrestles in WWE. In 2020, the Great One's oldest child, Simone Johnson, began training to be a wrestler. However, it wouldn't be until October 2022 that we'd finally see The Rock's daughter on TV. Simone made her wrestling debut on NXT and joined up with the group called The Schism. However, you probably wouldn't have known she's The Rock's daughter because she was given the name Ava Ring. Ava wouldn't wrestle right away as she'd only accompany her fellow Schism teammates. However, in April 2023, the 4th generation wrestler made her in-ring debut at NXT's Stand and Deliver event. She competed in an 8-person tag team match and unfortunately came up on the losing side. Remember Bull Buchanan? He was only in WWE for a few years, but is best remembered for being part of the infamous Right to Censor. Buchanan also briefly teamed with John Cena, where Bull started calling himself B Squared. However, a couple of years before leaving WWE, Bull Buchanan had a son named Ben. Ben Buchanan followed in the footsteps of his father, making his wrestling debut at the age of 18. About 2.5 years later, Ben was signed to WWE and given the name Brooks Jensen. He made his WWE debut in September 2021 on NXT and formed a tag team with a wrestler named Josh Briggs. Just like his father, Brooks Jensen would become a tag team champion when he won the NXT UK tag titles with Briggs. This also made Brooks the first male wrestler born in the 2000s to win a championship in WWE. Fun fact, Bull Buchanan has an even younger son who is just starting to get involved in wrestling. I'm betting you don't know who Steve King is. He wrestled in WWE from 1976 to 1985 and would more often than not be on the losing end of matches. He did, however, compete for the WWE Championship at one point in his career. Sadly, Steve King passed away in 1998 due to complications with cancer. However, he does have a daughter who is currently in WWE. Who is it? NXT wrestler Elektra Lopez. Lopez made her WWE debut in June 2021. She soon aligned herself with the faction Legado del Fantasma and was with the group for about a year. However, when Legado del Fantasma made the jump to the main roster, Elektra is nowhere to be seen. She instead was kept in NXT, where she is to this day. Hopefully she doesn't end up like Michelle McCool, who was intentionally hurt by her opponent. To see what Beth Phoenix did to McCool, watch this video.